Oh, that march in Sweden reportedly featured protesters chanting anti-Trump as well as anti-Jewish slogans. It's just one of the examples of the anger in the streets around the globe after the president's historic recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and his plan to move the U.S. embassy there from Tel Aviv. You know, those are promises previous presidents have made and pledged, but they have never followed through. With Palestinian demonstrators in the holy city itself burning the American and Israeli flags. Well, this morning on Fox News Sunday, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley saying the president's decision will advance and help rather than hurt the peace process.
We don't do things just to please every other country in the world. We do things to advance the ball. And that's what the president did with this. He said, this is time that we acknowledge reality. It's been 22 years in the making. It was time. And not only that, Chris, it's the right thing to do.
So what can we expect going forward? Editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post joins us now, Yaakov Katz. He is in Jerusalem, as you can see tonight. Yaakov, welcome. You have a unique perspective in this because you're born in Chicago. You had a fellowship at Harvard. So from your American and Israeli point of view, to you, what is the president's message?
Well, I think the president is sending a message to three different groups at the same time. On the one hand, to the Palestinian people, he's basically saying, look, you have to get with the program. This is a new, different president, different than the ones in the past. He's siding here with Israel by giving Israel the recognition of Jerusalem as their capital. And if we want to move forward, if the Palestinians want to move forward towards independence, they're going to have to start to play ball with this president. In addition to Europe and the United States have always been aligned until now with their approach and their position when it came to Jerusalem. For now, for the first time, America and Europe stand separate. And then there's to the Israeli people. We're all familiar, Eric, with the line, there's no free lunch. Well, Trump has given Israel now a great gift, the recognition of Jerusalem. The question is what will happen when, as we know, the administration's working very diligently on a big, broad peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians. When they present that to the Israeli people, it will be difficult, I would assume, for Israel to say no to that peace deal after getting such a gift from President Trump.
So you're saying that because the president, the art of the deal, gave this a bonus, so to speak, to the Israelis. Next time he can come to the Israeli administration with, some big asks, and he can use this as a bargaining chip?
I think so. I wouldn't say that that's the only reasoning behind his decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. I think this was something that he was a campaign promise he had made. He was under a lot of pressure from his base constituents. A lot of the evangelical Christians, some of his big donors wanted this to happen. But in addition, this does give him some leverage down the road when he presents that peace plan. And Israelis might have been able to say, well, we're not sure. We don't know if we're willing to make those compromises and concessions. This now does give Trump some leverage by saying, look, I gave you Jerusalem. I'm recognizing it as your capital. I'm going to eventually move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Now I need you also to take some of these bold steps, like I did, a bold step on Jerusalem. I need you to take these bold steps towards peace with the Palestinians.
Yeah, and what about the criticism? I mean, in the Arab world, the Arab League denouncing this, many saying it's dangerous, it's unprecedented, it's insightful, it was unnecessary. Let me play you Riyad Mansour, who's the observer, a permanent observer of Palestine to the United Nations, what he said about this. They want the U.S. to rescind this. Listen.
We will see further steps in the Security Council with a view of trying to see the reaffirmation by the 14 members in the Security Council to the resolutions related to Jerusalem and asking for the U.S. administration to rescind its position.
So what are the chances, you think, of the U.S. taking it back?
I don't think the U.S. is going to take this back. And you know what, Eric? Israel, since inception in 1948, unfortunately, has faced waves of terror and war and conflict ever since it was first established, and ever since Jerusalem was declared as its capital back in 1948. Just today, we had a stabbing of a security guard just about 200 yards from where I'm standing right now. And you know what? While the Palestinians have declared 3 days of rage, it's not as if, Eric, that the rest of the year, the rest of the 362 days of the year, they sit back and they're all about peace and meditation and tranquility. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Israel has dealt with terror in the past. It will unfortunately have to continue to deal with waves of violence and terrorism in the future, and I'm confident that Israel will know how to take care of that.
Yeah, and meanwhile, to try to stop the waves of violence and the terrorism that Israel has undergone and to deal with the Palestinian people, there's a peace plan we expect in the next couple of months to be unveiled by the Trump administration. And last week on this day, Jared Kushner was explaining some of that. Here's a preview of what he said.
As the Middle East has evolved, a lot of these countries look and say that they all want the same thing. They want economic opportunity, they want peace for their people, and they look at the regional threats, and I think they see that Israel, who is traditionally their foe, is a much more natural ally to them today than perhaps they were 20 years ago.
So what do you expect that they're cobbling together, especially if you can have an Israeli Arab-Sunni ally axis, which would be historic?
Well, Eric, as you know, there's a realignment in this region because of Iran and its nuclear program and the threat that it poses to not just Israel, but also to the Sunni states, primarily Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, also Egypt and Jordan, of course, which Israel already has peace with. A lot of these countries now are engaging with Israel. It's covert, it's behind the scenes, it's below the surface, but there's a lot of this, a lot of these talks, a lot of these contacts that are going on covertly. I don't yet foresee that this will take place and will come out into the public sphere. I think that that will still take some time. These countries also have their own streets in popular opinion, and I don't think they'll be able to take this out, this relationship with Israel publicly, as long as there still is the conflict with the Palestinians. But with that said, there is an opportunity right now for Israel and these Sunni states to work together to counter all of these different challenges that they're facing, including Iran, but also in how to move forward with the Palestinians.
So you have hope?
I always have hope, Eric. In this region, if you don't have hope, then what are we going to do? There's always reasons not to have hope. So hope is better than the alternative.
Yeah, that is for sure. So we'll see what happens when that plan is unveiled. Yaakov Katz, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. I thank you for joining us. And folks who are watching, if you want to hear Yaakov more, go to the FoxNewsRundown.com. It's the FoxNewsRundown.com. It's my podcast. It will be up and out at 6 a.m. in the morning, tomorrow morning, bright and early Eastern Time. My guest, Yaakov Katz, on this whole issue. We discuss it for 15 minutes. FoxNewsRundown.com, 6 a.m. I'm setting my alarm to go. The minute they post that, I'm going to listen to it again.
I'm listening to it already. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Yaakov, thank you.